Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Take 10 with Tyler, a short video series where you get the inside scoop on what is going on with SentryOne employees, how they're making it through these crazy times we're living in, and hopefully learn a thing or two along the way. Today, I am joined by VP of Client Services, Jason Hall, and we'll be chatting about the importance of creative content, especially now. Jason, thank you for joining today.
Hi, Tyler. Thanks for having me, and really appreciate you working on this content for us.
Of course, of course. So Jason, tell me a little bit about your role at SentryOne.
So I've been at SentryOne for a long time, since 2006. I've held several roles since then in software development, in client services to kind of start it, and product management to start that out as well. And now I've returned to client services to a much bigger team that encompasses more functions. It actually has what I would call a little bit of an internal ecosystem where we're covering technical support and professional services, and you can see where technical support would feed into professional services. We also have product documentation and we have product training, and all of these things sort of work together to create an overall better experience for SentryOne customers.
Interesting. So tell me, during this COVID-19 pandemic that we have going on, how has that affected that cross-functional organization that you just described to me?
Well, frankly, we already have several people on the team that work remotely. We have someone in Texas, someone in Maine. We have people at our remote offices in Florida and in Dublin, Ireland. We also have a lot of people that work in our Charlotte office, but they also already work from home 1 or 2 days a week anyway. And most of their work is done either in private, because they need concentration, or in screen shares and things like that with our customers live, which can really be done from anywhere where you have proper bandwidth.
Yeah, that's a great point. Having a bunch of our employees already work full-time remote has helped out tremendously and hasn't really slowed down any of the support we're able to deliver to our customers. Now, what about some of our customers and some of our prospects? Have you seen a new influx of support cases? Have we needed to provide any type of assistance that we don't typically deliver under normal circumstances?
That's a really good question, Tyler. I'm glad you asked it. There has been what I would call a difference, right? The caseload is about the same as normal, which is pretty healthy. What we're seeing is a little bit of a shift in the type of cases that we're getting. What it looks like is that there are a lot of people working from home, and they may be thinking about some different problems or running into new problems as their business either unfortunately slows down a little bit and they have time to take on some different projects, or for some industry verticals like healthcare and education, as they start to rely on systems more and more, they're seeing an increased load. And we've seen an increase in cases that our tech support guys tend to refer to as janky.
Janky.
What that means is that they are things we maybe haven't seen before that often, and we need to spend a little bit more time troubleshooting, maybe educating our customers to some of the less used features within the software that they may be discovering right now. And so we're seeing a little bit of an increase in load, but not necessarily in the case count, but more in how difficult the cases are.
That's interesting. And you had touched on a piece there that I want to circle back to. You talked about educating our customers, right? And I know one of the primary ways we do that is through content, which I think feeds into your new position that you're transitioning into. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Soon, the exact day is unknown, but I've already started working with the marketing team and working to transition our new leader to client services. But what I'm going to be doing is working to organize, produce, and source because I can only do so much myself, are technical content. And the goal that I have there is all about educating not only our customers, which are very important, but also the people that are coming to visit our website, and making sure that when they come to visit, whether they intend to purchase or not, they leave with something of value.
Yeah, that is incredible. And I think there's nobody better for the job than you. So tell me, why is content so important now and maybe even more so than other times?
Content is more important now than ever, because there are so many people that are at home working, some not working, unfortunately. But what they're all doing is trying to get as much information as possible. And the best content is going to cut through all of the noise that everybody's getting, that may or may not contain facts about the COVID-19 pandemic, and actually provide them something useful, whether that be extended trials, or an offer that we haven't been able to make before, or even just some tips on how we're handling parenting our young children while we're working at home. What we want to do is produce things that people can take with them, and put to good use right away, as their world has been turned upside down by this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point you brought up. I mean, I know since I've had a change in pace of my day to day, I've been able to pick up some books that I, have thrown back on the bookshelf, haven't been able to finish. So, everybody definitely has more time to be a consumer, which is, feeds right into your role as a content producer. So
Absolutely, Tyler, and not to cut you off, but you actually mentioned something there. Is there are opportunities everywhere we look, in everything that we do, to share with somebody else. What you just said about all of the books that you're reading, you could easily take that list of books that you're knocking out right now and share those with everybody else that maybe does product management like you do.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm a book reader. I try to be, at least. I also enjoy writing and reading blog posts, listening to podcasts. Is there any certain medium or type of content that you think is more important than any of the others?
I wouldn't necessarily say one is more important than the other. What you're going to get is a mix of people who like things delivered one way versus another, and then another group of people that are going to like it the exact opposite. And then there's a whole set of people out there that really only want to get it in small bites on social media. So what we need to be doing is using everything in our arsenal, in terms of how we produce and publish content. And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to see you doing this video series, because it is different than what we've done in the past. And it's exciting to a large group of people out there that prefer to take some time and see some video content.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would encourage everybody to get out there and experiment with some type of content creation. One of the things that held me back for a long time was thinking that I didn't have anything interesting to share, right? One thing you have to remember is you most likely have something that's useful to somebody else. It just takes some courage to kind of make that leap and actually just go out and do it. I think one of the best pieces of advice you ever gave me was just do it. Just go out there, do it, see what sticks. So that's awesome. Jason, any closing stories or statements or pieces of advice you have for our listeners?
So as we close, Tyler, I'll take one of the things that you just said and elaborate on it. You asked if there were any stories. Unfortunately, I don't have a really great story to tell, other than what you and I have already been talking about. But I want to leave everyone with the idea that stories are important. Stories are the way that you and I and everybody else make sense of the world that we live in. And if we can tell something in the form of a story and tie it back to something that everyone can learn, then that will be really meaningful, and it'll help it stick with them for a long, long time to come. And that's what we like to think of ourselves as, is storytellers.
Jason, thanks for being on today.
Thank you, Tyler, and I hope you have a great afternoon.
Stay safe out there.